Good morning students and welcome to the new lecture of your business studies, and today's our topic is the internal trade. So internal trade means the trade within the boundaries of our country. So before starting the topic, you must be knowing about that what is the meaning of the trade. So trade means where there is an engagement of the buying and selling of the goods and services. And internal trade, that's why we can say that when the buying and selling of goods and services is taking place within the boundary of the country, that is called the internal trade. So today we are going to talk about this topic, that how the internal trade, what do you mean by the internal trade, what are the different classification of internal trade, what are its importance, what is the feature, different types of internal trade. So we are going to talk about that. So before starting the topic, here there is a small snapshot of the internal trade. So when the buying and selling of the goods and services take place within the geographical limits of the country is known as internal trade, and it is also known as the home trade or inland trade, that is called internal trade. So it is also called the home trade, it is also called the inland trade. So it means that the home trade in internal trade, payment of the goods and services are made and received in the country's national currency, and only within the country. Goods can be sold anywhere. So manufacturing or trader have to pay no custom or import duties as goods are part of the domestic production, and these are meant for the consumption of within the country. So it means here the country's currency is using, you are not using the you can say the abroad currency. Here we are using the home currency. Here in the internal trade we are using the domestic products. So these all are actually the basic features. With the help of this we can also see what are the features of the internal trades. First feature is that is the buying and selling of goods and services take place within the country. Second one, the payment are received and paid in the home currency only. Then few formality can be completed for the trader. There is no bulky formality that it is using for the external trade. It is internal trade. That's why you need not to be do so much of formality. Next, the various local modes of transport can be used for transfer the goods and services. So these are actually the basic or the features of the internal trade. Now moving to the types of internal trade. What different types of the internal trade we have. So here basically we have the two types that in the internal trade there is the wholesaler or a wholesale trade or the retail trade. So basically when we talk about the wholesale means that when the buying and selling are take place in the bulk. Okay, in the bulk, it means that there are wholesalers who are actually specialists of the specific thing. They are not dealing with the different kinds of items. Their deals are with a very number of items, but they are actually storing them or procuring them in their warehouses in the bulk quantity. And when they are taking or buying these things direct from the manufacturing, they also have the trade discount from them. That's why they are getting more less from the market, and it means that they are taking the things from the manufacturer or production units and they are actually selling it to the retailer. Then retailer sell to the ultimate customer. So it means that the wholesale trade and the retail trade both are related with the internal trade. What is the wholesale trade? The wholesale trade refers to the trade in which the goods are sold in the larger quantity. The person who carries the wholesale trade is known as a wholesaler, and the wholesaler buys the goods directly from the manufacturers in the bulk and sell them in the small lots to the retailer. So the wholesaler acts as a middleman between the manufacturer and the retailer. So he is the middleman between the main unit or manufacturer or production and to the retailers. So here there are so many things like what are the services of wholesaler. Now wholesaler is going to be a very important person between the manufacturer and also for the retailer. So what are the services the wholesaler is providing? So the services of the wholesaler, the services to the manufacturer. What kind of the services the wholesaler giving to the manufacturers? So first, that is the economies of the scale. The economies of the scale refer to the benefit of operating a large scale. Wholesaler helps the manufacturer to avail the benefits of large scale. It means that if the wholesaler requires the bulk quantity of the goods, it means he will order the manufacturer or the bulk quantity. And the same way, they will take the raw material on the bulk from the suppliers. That's why they will have the economies of the scale. It means they will also get the more trade discount from the supplier, and with that they can reduce their cost of the good. Next, that is the sales promotion. On the behalf of the manufacturers and the producers or production units, they also do the sale promotions. So wholesaler employs sale forces to reach the retailer located for the corners of the country. The salesperson of the wholesaler perform the task of persuading the retailer to display and selling the goods at their retail orders. That next is the market information. Yes, with the help of the wholesaler, they are providing the right information to the manufacturer or the factory concern, because with the help of that information they can produce what actually required in the market. That all the information is actually supplied by the wholesaler, because wholesaler has a direct link between the retailer has a link between with the customer. So next is that storage. Also wholesaler cater the need of the storage, because they buy the things in a whole or a bulk from the manufacturer, and the manufacturer and the producers need not to be think about how to store it, because their main work is to manufacture the thing. If they will divert with the mind that how I will going to store it, then they will not concentrate properly on the manufacturing or making the thing. That's why we can say the 50% of the burden of storing the thing is just taken by the wholesaler. They actually buy the thing in a bulk and also store in their warehouses. So with the storage, this problem is also solved with the wholesaler. The financing, the wholesaler provides financing support to the manufacturer by buying the goods on cash. Sometimes he pays the advance while placing the order also. Next, that is the concentration of the production. Wholesaler conduct the market research to find out the preferences of the customer. So it is the customer who is the kingpin of the market. So only the taste and preferences of the customer is always in it, because it is not a producer who produces things will go in the market and will be going to be sold. It is only the customer or the consumer who is the king of the market, who require what he requires has to be produced by the producer or the manufacturer, and that information is actually produced by or conveyed by the wholesaler to the manufacturers. Price stability. By maintaining the last stock of the goods, the wholesaler can regulate the price supply of goods. If the goods are storage and demand is more, then stock are cleared from the godown, and if goods are not demanded, then goods can be stored in the godown for the right time. So these are the services by the wholesaler to the manufacturing units. Now services of the wholesaler to the retailer. First is that variety. So wholesaler actually provide a variety of the goods to the retailer, because retailer has a direct link between the customer and what customer want, the retailer actually required from the wholesaler, and wholesaler is the person who is actually providing the things to the retailer. Now regular supply. Also the wholesaler maintain the last stock of the goods, and therefore whenever the retailer require goods, these can be immediately supplied from the warehouse, and the retailer need not to maintain the last stock. Next, also financing. The wholesaler sells the goods to the retailers on credit. Therefore retailers need not to maintain large working capital. They can make payment after receiving the payment from the customer. Now risk bearing. Wholesaler bear the risk to change change the demand of the risk of damage of the transit, risk of theft and the spoilage of the warehouse. So retailer are received from the all such risk. It means that retailer relieved from all such risks, like risk of the theft, risk of the spoilage, or risk of anything, because the retailer just store the things according to the need and want of the customer. They need not to be stored at bulk. It is only the wholesaler who is storing at the bulk. So these all are the services. Transport service, they are provided by the wholesaler to the retailer. Publicity, wholesaler advertise the brands and goods kept within them. Such publicity helps the retailer also to increase his sale. Then also the economies of the scale. The wholesaler buy the goods in the large quantity, and so he gets big discount from the manufacturer, and they share this discount with the retailer also. With this, the economies of the scale take place. Now come to the retail trade. So retail trade means it is the trade between the person who is selling the goods to the ultimate consumer or customer. So we can say that retail trade is the last link in the distribution chain. Retail trade refers to the sale of goods in a small lots to the final consumer. So there are some features of retail trade. Retail trade is the last link in the distribution chain. Then retailer sells the goods and services directly to the consumer. Then retailer deals with the variety of the goods. Then retailer buys and sells the small quantity of the goods. Then retailer generally located in the residential area or located in the common area where you can get these kind of shop very easily. Retailer maintain personal relation with the customer. Then the retailer may contact the customer on telephone, internet, TV through his retail showroom. Retailer act as a middleman between the wholesaler and the customer. So these all are, this is all about what is the meaning of the retail trade. Now services of retailer. What are the services the retailer gives to the consumers? First, that is ready or quick supply. It is only the retailer who is giving the quick supply to the customers. Wide variety. Retailer actually deal with the wide variety. If we compare the retailer and the wholesaler where he kept the thing on the bulk basis, but he is actually dealing with one and two line of the products. But the retailer is actually dealing with the different lines of the product, different variety of a one line. Guiding the customers, the retail assists the customer in selecting the goods. It may, in many large retail showrooms, the salesmen are appointed who guide the customer in the selection of the product. Next, that is the home delivery. They are also providing the facility to deliver the goods at the doorsteps. Next, that is the convenient location. Retail stores are located in the residential area as well as in the main market. The customer can easily approach the retail showroom for buying the goods. Also, they will provide you, sometimes they also provide you the credit facilities. Next, that is services of the retailer to the wholesaler or manufacturer. First, that is ready market. Because retailers are actually dealing with the direct link between the customer and the consumer, it means the ready market is just being ready for the manufacturer and the wholesaler. They need not to be searched for the market and the people who actually want to buy their product. They are already there, exist in the retailers. With the retailers providing information, retailers provide information to the wholesaler or manufacturer regarding the taste and preferences of the customer. Also, risk bearing. The retailer share risk with the manufacturer and the wholesaler by keeping the stock of their goods. Next, that is the distribution of the goods to the distant places. The retailer relieve the wholesaler and manufacturer from the burden of the collection and supplying the small order to widely scattered customers. That the retailer help in distribution of the good in the distant part of the country. So it means the wholesaler actually just sell their goods to one wholesaler to the retailer, and it is the retailer who are actually dealing with a different kind of variety of the customers. So it actually creates the market for the wholesaler to or the manufacturer to buy their things. So these all are the you can say the services of the wholesale the retailer to the wholesaler and the your manufacturer. Now type of retail trade. What kind of the retail trade? First is keeping the mind all the retail trade is actually the two types. That is, first is the itinerants and second one is a fixed shop retailer. So itinerants means the person who is actually mobile their shop. They are peddlers, they are hawkers. These kind of the people are actually retailing the things on their moving shop. And the other retailer, they have the fixed shop retailer. So there are different kinds and types of itinerants and the fixed shop we have, which is there in the classification. One by one we will going to discuss it. First, itinerants is hawker and peddlers. Then the periodic market traders, the street trader, the cheap jacks, and in the fixed shop there is a small scale shop and a large scale shop. They are basically again divided into the small scale and the large scale. In the small scale there is general store, the single line store, special store, specialty store, street shop, second hand, goods shop, second shop. And the large scale there is a departmental store, multiple store, mail order retail and automatic vending machine. So one by one we are going to discuss it. First is the hawker and the peddlers. So the hawker and the peddler are moved from the street to the street in the search of the customer, and the hawker carries the goods on wheeled cart or on the back of the animal, and the peddler carries the goods on his own head or back. So this is the hawkers and the peddlers. Now come to the next, that is the periodic market traders. What are those? So these traders sell their goods on fixed days in the different market. Their weekly market are fixed. For example, Monday market in the Karolbagh, or Thursday market in the Kingsley Camp, Wednesday market in the Rohini, etc. In the Delhi area. So it means these market periodic markets are actually decided by the days, like Monday market, the Tuesday market, and on Monday market where it is located, on that particular day you will that market will exist. On the rest of day you will not find anything. It means these all are the periodic market. Also the retailers who are settled their shop there are also just like the movers. Okay, next that is the street traders. These retailers display their article on the busy street corners, pavements, bus stand, etc. And what are the main features? They generally operate new public places such as railway stations, cinema halls, bus stand, etc. They deal in the variety of the goods such as towels, handkerchiefs, things of the daily use like mirror, etc. They deal in the low price goods for the common use, and they are very popular. People find it convenient to pick up items on their way back from the work. Now next, that is the cheap jacks. What are cheap jacks? They display their goods in the hired shop or in the tents or for the temporary period in the different localities. So they are also mobile, where and there they want that they find their own kind of the customer. With that they are dealing. Actually they can just settle down their tents and do their marketing. So we can have here what are the features of cheap jacks. They hire a small shop or display goods in the tent or in the residential colonies. They shift from locality to locality depending upon the prospects of the business. Then they deal in the low price households, and they remain in the one locality for the temporary period only. The next is the fixed shop retailer. So we have basically in the fixed shop we have the small scale fixed retailer and the big scale, large scale. Now small scale, we have small scale retailer are most common form of the retailer, and these shops are found in every corner of the city, and they are mostly situated in the locality to fulfill the needs of the people residing in the local area. Small scale fixed shops are of the following type. They are general stores. So general stores are small shop located in the residential area, and basic features are they deal with the daily use item like grocery, confectionery, stationery, etc. They have a large variety in each line of product. Also, they provide free home delivery, credit facility, and other services to their regular customer. They create personal relationship with the customer and keep them happy and satisfied. General store located in the posh area also keep popular brand of the products. Now come to the single line store. Now what do we mean by the single line stores? Single line store are small shop which deal with the one line of product. For example, these store deal in the one line of product. Example, garment line or stationery line, textile line or medicine and shops. These stores deal in the variety of the goods in that line of product. For example, the store dealing with the garment have the different kinds of the you can say the kids garment, or you can say the different age groups they are dealing with. They are generally situated in the marketplace. They provide customer services which is vary from store to store. Now, next is the specialty store. These stores deal with a particular type of a product under one product line. For example, these stores are specialized in one product only. For example, the garment shop deals with the children garment only, sweet shop specialized in the Bengali sweet, etc. So they keep all the brand of that product. For example, jeans shop may have jeans of the Levi's, Lee, Killer, or these kind of the jeans. Actually, different variety of the jeans they will be taking place. Next, the customer find it convenient to enter the specialty store to take the advantage of the specialization in a particular segment of the market. Now, come to the street shop. These shops are situated at the street crossing or the main roads or on the corner of the colonies. They are also known as the street stalls. Next is the second-hand goods shop. Now, these shops deal with the second-hand goods and use articles such as books, utensils, furniture, etc. So, these shops sell used goods. The goods are generally priced low because these are used goods, and also goods from the private and a public auction. These all are the goods which is buy from the public auction. These shops are mainly for the poor people. Who cannot afford to buy the new goods. So these are all are the features of the second hand shop. Now come to the second shop. These are the shops to sell goods which are not produced according to the required specializations or specifications. These goods always have some defects in it. So these shops deal in the product which have some manufacturing defect. Goods sold in these shops are not used for second hand, and they are defective. They are actually new but defective goods, and the goods are sold at heavily discounted price. These all are the second shop. Now moving to the next, that is the large scale retailer. The large scale retailer deal in the large stock of the goods and purchase goods in the bulk. So features are they require the huge investment, have large size showroom to sell the goods, and also they are generally located in the central place of the city. The large number of the customer visit these showrooms. So what are different kind of these? We will going to discuss it. First is the departmental store. The departmental store is a large scale showroom, large retail showroom having a number of the department under one roof. Each department specializing in one line of product. Each of the department is like a separate shop with the centralized purchasing, selling and accounting. Now administrative activity of the departmental store are managed by the general manager, and the general manager appoints departmental manager for each department. Now moving to the next, that is your multiple shops and chain stores. Now multiple shops refer to the number of the identical retail shops located in the different parts of the city. These shops are owned and controlled by a single organization. These chain stores may be established in the manufacturers or traders. In USA, these shops are known as a chain store, but these are popular in the multiple store in the Europe. For example, the Bata store and DCM store. So it means multiple shops means that these are the shop which is actually dealing with the same kind of the same variety of the commodity. So feature of these chain stores, they are large in size, specialized in one line of product, centralized purchasing, then decentralized sale, and quality is they actually deal with the branded items. Also they with the help of these they actually eliminate the middleman. There is no need of the middleman because there is a centralized purchasing. Also the uniformity of the price. They are dealing with the same price all over the country. Wherever these stores are located, either in the Delhi or in the Kerala or in the Jammu and Kashmir, the price will remain the same for the particular goods. Now come to the next, that is the mail order retailing. In mail order retailing, seller cannot contact the potential buyer through the advertisement and mail publicity by sending the circulars, catalogs, price list, samples, booklet, etc. The customer are required to place their order by post. So this type of arrangement is called the shopping by post by customer or selling by post by seller. So what are the main feature of it? That is the detailed mailing list containing name, addresses of the potential customer is maintained by the mail order. The seller sends circular, catalog, etc. The customer also places order by selecting the goods from the catalog. And generally only centralized items are bought and sold through the mail order. Payment is received through the VPP registered post. These all are the mail order retailing. Now come to the automatic vending machine. What do we mean by that? The vending machine is a new form of direct retailing. So it is a machine operated by the coins or the tokens. The buyer insert a coin or a token in the machine and receive the specific quantity of the product from the machine. Large scale retailing is possible through the vending machine by placing the machine at the convenient locations such as the petrol pumps, then railway stations, the airport. This method of retail selling is very popular in the Western countries. Now these are becoming popular in India also. Vending machines are used to sell the pre-packed and low-cost products such as product for the mass consumption, and just like the soft drinks, or you can say the cigarette or the postage stamps, tickets, etc. Also the milk. In Delhi now vending machines are installed at petrol pump, railway station for selling cold drinks, etc. Mother dairy is selling milk through the vending machine, and ATM card machines are very much useful and very much going to be popular. Now these are all the different types of your retail trade. Now moving to the Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Chamber of Commerce of Industries mean the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are voluntary and non-profit making organization of all type of the business operating in the particular territory of protection the interest of the businessman in a general and that territory in particular. So in simple word we can say that the Chamber of Commerce is a representative body of businessmen. So it represents the business community of the particular region irrespective to the particular industry or the trade. The composition and formation of the Chamber of Commerce differ from the country to the country. In India, every major state has its own Chamber of Commerce, like Delhi Chamber of Commerce, Bengal Chamber of Commerce, Punjab Chamber of Commerce. So many chambers of commerce are affiliated to the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and India, which is called FICCI. So now come to the next, that is what is the function of Chamber of Commerce. First, it is a representative business community. It is actually representing the whole business community irrespective to the size of the business, the different type of the trade. It means all the businessman and the trader be the part of it, and it is actually the representative body. Next, that is acting as a spokesman. So the Chamber of Commerce acts as a spokesman by giving the suggestion to amend or alter the legislation in the favor of the businessman. Setting the dispute, the Chamber of Commerce tries to settle the dispute among various industrialists and the traders. Then setting the code of conduct, that is also very much required for the smooth going of anything. The code of conduct is required, and these the Chamber of Commerce is actually setting the code of conduct for all, providing the facility of education and research. Also, they are arranging the seminars for every businessman and industrialist for what is going to be going on in our country and out of the country. Providing the classified information, such like it maintains the statistical bureau of providing the classified information to the members. Then also providing the certificate of origin. It means after conducting the examination and research of Chamber of Commerce, they provide certificate of origin to the exporter, which is an important export document. These all are the function. Now moving to the role of Chamber of Commerce. First, transportation. The Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce help in internal interstate movement of goods. It help in registration of vehicle, construction of the highway, etc. Sales tax and value-added tax. The Chamber of Commerce suggests policies to the government to harmonize the sales tax and VAT structure of different states. To promote the balance in the trade a uniform tax structure is needed. Law to check the weight and measures. They provide or amend different kinds of laws just for check the weights and measures. Promoting the infrastructure for the smooth flow of the trade. Sound infrastructure is very much essential though. That's why the Chamber of Commerce and Industries collaborations with the government is taking up investment projects for construction of roads, airport, railway, etc. Now, help in marketing. It helps in farming, framing the cooperatives to market their product. Also, it plays important role in market to agro product also. Excise duty. Along with the uniform sales tax and VAT, it tries to have central excise duty to all the state. Excise duty affect the pricing of the commodity. And labor legislation, the Chamber of Commerce intervene with the government in formulation of the labor laws, labor laws, wage, etc. Then compensation, etc. So retrenchment, etc. Because satisfied labor contribute effectively in running industry. So these all are the role of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, main document used in the internal trade. What are the main documents which we are using in the internal trade? These are the pro forma invoice. It is confirmed purchase order containing the terms and conditions on which the buyer and seller agree to product details and costs. Second one is commercial invoice. This document is an evidence of contract between buyer and seller, and this document contains detailed description of goods, quality, price, total value, etc. Lorry receipt, when goods are sent by the roadways, this receipt is issued by the transporter and it's treated as a document of title. Railway receipt, when goods are dispatched to the railways, then railway authority issue their receipt. Then also the debit note, a form of the letter issued by the seller to advise the amount owed by the buyer. An invoice is a kind of a debit note. Sometimes the seller issues the debit note when he has charged less price from the buyer than the actual price. Now, next is the term of trade. First is the COD, then FOB, then CNF, CINF, and E and OE. First is COD, cash on delivery. Under the system, payment is made only when the goods are delivered to the buyer. FOD, free on board, that under this contract the seller is expected to deliver the goods to the transporter and buyer has to bear all the losses, all the loss and risk or losses and damages. Cost and freight, it means that under this system the seller delivers the goods, the freight charges are borne by the seller, but risk of loss or damage is borne by the buyer. And F and CNF price consists of FOB price plus freight charges. Then cost, insurance and freight. Under this seller bear all the cost, freight and insurance charges against risk of loss, damage to the goods during the transit. Next, errors and omission expected. This is written in an attempt to reduce the legal liability of incorrect or incomplete information supplied by supplier in the contractual documents such as price list, etc. It is generally used. Here the information is relatively fast changing. So these all are, we have talked about what is the internal trade, we have talked about what are the different types of the internal trade, how the internal trade take place in the country, how we are actually using the home currency in the internal trade. It is also called the home trade